Okay, this time we're going to identify functions using graphs. Okay, and when I say using graphs, we have to adhere ourselves on the idea of vertical line test. When you say vertical line test, it makes sure that your graph is hit by the vertical line once, no matter where you draw the vertical line. Let's have the graph of number 1. So when you use vertical, or when you want to find the graph is either a function or just a relation, you just use the vertical line test. When you say vertical line test, you draw vertical lines anywhere in the graph. So when I draw vertical lines anywhere in the graph, you see that I only hit the graph one time. So if I draw the vertical line here, I hit the graph here. That's 1 point in the graph. If I draw the vertical line here, I will only hit 1 point. So which means that wherever I draw the vertical line, it will only hit 1 point on the graph. That is a function. Okay, how about this one? When you draw a vertical line, observe that at this point you can have infinite number of y values, which means that you only have one x but you have multiple values for y. So the vertical line test failed in this kind of graph, so therefore this is not a function. So that's why if you have a graph, it will be easier because all you have to do is to use the vertical line test. Here in number 3, if we're going to draw a vertical line anywhere on this graph, you see that I can only hit 1 point each time I draw a vertical line. So this is also the same as number 1. So this is also a function. Let's have number 4. In number 4, when you use the vertical line test, there's no I have not hit any point in the graph. That's okay. If I use the vertical line here, I hit this point. If I use the vertical line here, it will not hit this point but hit the close point. When you see an open hole here, that means that is not part of the solution. That means you will not intersect that one because it's a hole. Okay, and when you draw a line here, you can only hit exactly 1 point on the graph wherever you draw the vertical line. So in this case, this is a function. And by the way, we call this a step function, and you will learn that in your higher math. Okay, let's have more examples. Let's take a look at these graphs. Let's determine which one is a function and which one is not a function. Let's start with number 5. In number 5, when you draw a vertical line, you can obviously see by just one vertical line, you hit the graph at 2 points. And if you hit the graph at 2 points, that is directly not a function, which means that you only have one x but you have two different values of y. This is one-to-many relation, so it's not a function. Let's have the next example. The next example, if you draw a vertical line, you can definitely see that we have hit the graph at two distinct points. That means that we only have one x but you have two different values of y. The only time that the graph or that the vertical line will hit the graph once is if it hits the vertex. Okay, but it's still not a function. In number 7, you draw vertical line again and try to see if you can hit one or multiple points on the graph. If I draw a vertical line here, we can actually see that we only hit 1 point on the graph. So imagine this line is going to infinity, but it looks like I hit 2 points, but if you're going to zoom in and if you're going to use graphing tool, you will see that it only hits 1 point, and this is a cubic function. So this is still a function. So our vertical line test is successful here. Now let's have number 8. In number 8, if you draw a vertical line here, you will only hit 1 point here, vertical here, 1 point, vertical here, 1 point. So which means that it is still a function since we have we have hit the graph once. So vertical line test is successful. How about number 9? In number 9, if we're going to draw a vertical line here, we will hit here, vertical line, hit here, and vertical line, hit here. But in this kind of graph, this is kind of rational, so I say that the x and y here are asymptotes, and it's good that it is shown. If it's not shown, it will be a different type of graph. You cannot graphs in such a way that you have overlapping lines here. So therefore, this is still a function, since when you have asymptotes, that means your line gets closer and closer to the asymptote, but it will never hit that line. So the same as this one here. So there will be no chance that these two can actually be hit by the vertical line at once. Okay, let's have number 10. This is one example of a graph of an absolute value equation. So when you draw a line, I can only hit one, I can only hit one, I can only hit one, and I can only hit one. So the VLT, or the vertical line test, is successful. So this is also a function.